What have you done? It's just a dress, Madame Sarah. No, you broke the rule. You don't understand what you have done. They are here. They are here!
Part 5. For 7 years, nothing went wrong. Not once, not a single mistake, not a single complaint, not a single dress returned. Madame Sarah became something more than a tailor. She became a legend. Women traveled from other towns just to see her work. Some came from cities, some came from places so far away that people spoke different languages. But they all came for the same reason. The dresses, the impossible dresses, the ones that fit perfectly without measurements being taken twice, the ones that never needed adjustments, the ones people swore felt different the moment they touched their skin. And through all those years, Madame Sarah followed the rule without exception. Every customer heard the same instruction. Take it home first. No explanation, no discussion, no arguments. Take it home, then try it on. Simple. Most people obeyed it because when someone is giving you exactly what you want, you stop asking questions. But Adais was different. 19 years old, sharp-minded, curious, the kind of person who could not leave a mystery alone. The more people warned her away from something, the closer she moved toward it. And for months, she had been listening to the stories, the rumors, the whispers, the late-night conversations, the impossible deadlines, the machine that supposedly ran by itself, the strange sounds after midnight, and the rule, especially the rule. Because out of everything people said about Madame Sarah, that was the one thing nobody could explain. Why couldn't people try on their clothes inside the shop? What difference could a doorway possibly make? It didn't make sense. And Adais hated things that didn't make sense. The next morning, she walked into Madame Sarah's shop with her mother. The place was beautiful, even more beautiful than she expected. Every dress looked like it belonged in a palace. Elegant, perfect, almost unreal. Women sat waiting patiently. Fabric covered every table. And in the center of the shop stood the old machine. The rusty one. The machine nobody ever seemed to use. Adais stared at it. For a moment, she thought she saw something strange. A faint flicker, like light moving beneath old iron. But when she blinked, it was gone. "Don't stare," her mother whispered. Adais looked away, but not before noticing something else. Madame Sarah had been watching her. Not watching her mother, not watching the customers, watching her. And for the first time, Madame Sarah looked uncomfortable. Not afraid, just uneasy. Like she had suddenly remembered something unpleasant. Something she hoped wouldn't happen. Measurements were taken. Fabric selected. Design discussed. Everything proceeded normally. Until Adais asked a question. The question nobody ever asked directly. Why can't people try on the dresses here? The shop became quiet. Not completely quiet. Just enough. Enough for people to notice. Enough for heads to turn. Enough for conversations to pause. Madame Sarah smiled, but it wasn't her usual smile. "It is simply my rule." "Why?" "Because that is how I work." That's not an answer. A few women exchanged nervous looks. Her mother nudged her sharply. "Adais." But Adais wasn't finished. She looked directly at Madame Sarah. "Are the stories true?" Silence. "What stories?" "The ones about the machine." The silence deepened. For a brief moment, something moved across Madame Sarah's face. Something old, something tired. Then it disappeared. "Stories are stories," she said softly. "And rules are rules." Adais smiled. But inside, she had already made a decision. She was going to find out the truth, no matter what it took. 3 weeks later, her dress was ready. It was stunning, more beautiful than anything she had imagined. Emerald green, hand-beaded, elegant enough to stop conversations when people looked at it. Even Adais couldn't deny it. The dress was perfect. Madame Sarah handed it over carefully, then spoke the familiar words. "Take it home before you wear it." Adais nodded, politely, respectfully, obediently, the way people nod when they have absolutely no intention of listening. Pause. She waited. She watched. And eventually the opportunity came. The last customer left. The assistants from neighboring shops closed for the evening. The street grew quiet, dark, still. Adais remained hidden nearby, watching, waiting. Hours passed. Finally, the lights inside Madame Sarah's shop went out, one by one, until darkness filled the windows. Then Madame Sarah left, locked the door, and disappeared into the night. Adesi waited another 30 minutes, just to be certain. Then she moved. The back window wasn't locked. She almost laughed. The famous Madame Sarah, the mysterious shop, and the winning. Window was unlocked. It felt ridiculous. Like every rumor in town was about to collapse under the weight of common sense. She climbed inside. Landing softly, the shop was dark, silent, empty, exactly as expected. "See?" she whispered to herself. "Nothing." Then she heard it. Tick, tick, tick. The sound wasn't loud, but it was there. Slow, steady, rhythmic, coming from somewhere in the darkness. Adis turned, her eyes slowly adjusting, and there, in the center of the room, sat the old machine. Tick, tick, tick. The needle was moving up, down, by itself. For the first time that night, Adis felt fear, real fear, the kind that starts in your stomach. But curiosity was stronger. It always had been. Slowly, she approached. The machine continued moving, steady, patient, as though it had been waiting for her, waiting specifically for her. And then she noticed something else, something hanging beside it. Her dress, the emerald green dress, waiting, perfectly pressed, perfectly still, almost inviting. The memory of Madame Sarah's warning echoed in her head. Take it home first. Do not wear it here. The rule? The strange, pointless rule. Adai stared at the dress, then at the machine, then back at the dress. And suddenly, she smiled, because she finally had her answer. There was no secret, no curse, no spirits, just an old tailor using fear to protect her reputation. That was all. At least, that was what she believed. So Adese reached for the dress and began to put it on. Behind her, the needle stopped moving. Instantly. The entire shop became silent. A silence so complete, it felt alive. But Adese didn't notice. Not yet. Because all her attention was on the mirror, on the beautiful green dress, on how perfectly it fit, as though it had been made for her by magic. And then, from somewhere behind her, came a voice, soft, ancient, close, very close, whispering just one sentence. "A rule broken is a debt collected." Adesi froze. Slowly, very slowly, she turned around, and what she saw standing beside the old machine made her blood run cold. To be continued.